Respected viewers, brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to a new episode of the Tears of Solitude with me, your host Ahmed Ali. For the dear viewers who are just tuning in for the first time, this show is dedicated towards examining and commemorating the martyrdoms of each of the individuals of Ahlul-Bait alayhim salam, whether an imam or a special individual that plays that unique role within the Ahlul-Bait alayhim salam. Tonight, inshallah, we will touch upon the life of a very young individual who was present on the day of Ashura, and that is the youngest daughter of Imam Al-Hussein to be present on the 10th of Muharram, and that is Lady Ruqqaya, peace and blessings be upon her. For that reason, I would like to send my deepest and warmest condolences to Imam Sahib Al-Asr wa Zaman. May Allah hasten his reappearance, to our pious scholars, to the Muslim community, especially the followers of Ahlul-Bait alayhim salam, on this tragic occasion. But according to different historical accounts, between the 3rd and the 13th of Safar is the time where we remember and commemorate the martyrdom anniversary of Lady Ruqqaya, the 4-year-old beloved daughter of Imam Al-Hussein alayhi salam, who died in the prison of Damascus after the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam were taken as captives from Karbala and after the day of Ashura. But before I get into her martyrdom, I would like to touch upon her life. Although very young, 4 years old, one may wonder, a 4-year-old little child, if one to examine her life, one would wonder, there isn't much to examine, yet the opposite is true. Her father, of course, was Imam Al-Hussein alayhi salam, peace and blessings be upon him, who was the son of the commander of the faithful, and Lady Fatima al-Zahra alayhi salam, the grandson of Rasulullah, which makes Lady Ruqqaya as the granddaughter of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the greatest creation ever to walk on this planet. And her mother was Lady Rabab, peace and blessings be upon her as well, who was also the mother of Ali al-Asghar, the youngest martyr on the day of Ashura, who died along his uncles, his father's companions, along with his brothers on the 10th day of Muharram. But as for the date of her birth, if we were to do the math, Imam Al-Hussein alayhi salam was martyred in the 61st year after Hijrah. Now, Ruqqaya, as narrations tell us, that Ruqqaya was only 3 to 4 years old at that time. So, as I mentioned, if we do the math, it's safe to say that Lady Ruqqaya was born in either the 57th year after Hijrah or the 58th year after Hijrah. In the Arab countries, as well as the majority of the world, she is known as Sayyida Ruqqaya, whereas she is known as Sayyida Sakina in the Urdu tradition. Now, some people may wonder, is that why different titles? But everyone agrees upon the fact that her name, not title, her name was Fatima al-Sughra, the youngest daughter of Muhammad alayhi salam, the small Fatima. History also tells us, and narrations tell us, that Imam Al-Hussein alayhi salam also had another daughter, an older daughter than Ruqqaya, by the name of Sakina. So we do see where the confusion begins. You know, as after transcribing names and facts, we always see that mix-up within the names, not within the names of Ahlul-Bayt, and not within the names of prominent characters in Islamic history. But yet, a 4-year-old daughter of Muhammad alayhi salam being mixed up with Sakina, her older sister. However, we can all agree upon that Fatima Ruqqaya, peace and blessings be upon her, was the youngest daughter of Imam Al-Hussein alayhi salam, who had that special connection with her father, so unique that none of her sisters had that connection with Muhammad alayhi salam. It is narrated that Imam Al-Hussein alayhi salam once said in regards to Sayyida Ruqqaya, peace and blessings be upon her, he says, I cannot live in a house that does not have Ruqqaya in it. This is how much Muhammad Islam is illustrating to us how much he dearly loves this child of his. Although he did love the others. I mean, Ali Akbar, we had Sakina, we had Imam Abidin, we had other children of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, but yet Ruqqaya had that special place in the Imam's heart. Lady Ruqqaya, what we should always learn from this young individual, 4 years old, people will say, what can I learn from a 4-year-old? They should learn from me as a 20-year-old, as a 40-year-old, as a 50-year-old, or even a 14-year-old. People tend to look at a 4-year-old and say that they should learn from me, but no. Whatever our ages may be, despite age, we should always learn from this young child. Why? Because she was so spirited. Everyone that came by her and came across her fell in love with her due to her uplifting spirituality, due to her smile, that when she always looked at her father, she would always look to him or look at him with a very beautiful smile. She always enjoyed reciting the Holy Quran. A 4-year-old enjoyed reciting the Holy Quran. A 4-year-old right now, you see them playing around the house, playing with Barbies, going down slides on the swing. But yet, Ruqqaya alayhi salam was 3 to 4 years old who enjoyed reciting the Quran. You forget about the fact that she is the daughter of Muhammad alayhi salam. But a 4-year-old enjoying such things, yet other children are busy with others. At the age of 2, Lady Ruqqaya alayhi salam, as narrations tell us from the Ahlul-Bait, they tell us that when Lady Ruqqaya was at the age of 2, she covered herself with the proper Islamic hijab in public. Covered her head, covered her face, covered her body. This is a message that is sent to me, that is sent to everybody across the world. That a 2-year-old, let us just imagine this fact. Let us take in this fact that a 2-year-old used to cover herself up at the age of 2, cover herself up with the true Islamic hijab. Yet it is unfortunate to see that fully grown, and I've personally heard this, when certain ladies are asked at the age of 12, at the age of 13, 14, why aren't you not wearing a hijab yet? The answer is, I'm not 15 yet. I don't understand. A man or a young youth, a boy, reaches puberty at the age of 15. But why have we placed this misconception within our religion? A 2-year-old covering herself up with the proper Islamic hijab, yet we see 12-year-olds, 11-year-old, 13-year-old. We're not saying put that burden upon, force the hijab onto your child, but no, it comes through nurturing. It comes through nourishment. That if an individual, a mother or a father, from a young age, teaches their child to always put the hijab of Ahlul-Bait alayhim salam on, put the hijab of Lady Zainab, put the hijab of Ruqqaya. Yesterday, you were blessed to see that Sufrat Ruqqaya, the meal of Ruqqaya, tens and tens of meters in length, have been placed between the holy shrine of Imam Hussein and the holy shrine of Abul Fadl Abbas, peace and blessings be upon them both. And in the honor of Ruqqaya, they place a meal. And you see the young children of the lovers of Ahlul-Bait alayhim salam gathered in that area to do what? To commemorate her martyrdom. And you see ranging from a 2-year-old up until a 15-year-old girls wearing the hijab of Ruqqaya. This is the individual that we should take as a role model, especially for my dear sisters. Taking Ruqqaya as a role model, a 2-year-old, is not an embarrassment. We shouldn't, put our heads down because we're taking such a young individual as a role model. No, we should hold our head high and say that we are taking the Ahlul-Bait and the youngest individual as a role model, because with them Islam continued. We did not have to endure what Ruqayya had to endure, which inshallah we'll talk about. But people always would misunderstand the knowledge, misunderstand the value, and misunderstand the relationship between Ruqayya and her father. Now we do see that. Now inshallah, after we do hear all of this, we can take Ruqayya as that spiritual role model, and as well as a physical role model. Because for me as an individual, if I am granted a daughter, we should always teach our little children about Ruqayya. You know, and now in the multimedia saturated environment that we live in, we find that the young individuals, the children, tend to watch or follow on Instagram, on Twitter. You know, a 4-year-old has probably an iPad, has a tablet in their hand, has a laptop, a computer at home that they can access. They always tend to go to follow certain actresses, certain actors, watching certain movies. Yet when they are asked about this 4-year-old daughter of Imam Al-Hussein alayhi salam, Lady Ruqqaya, the answer would be, who is Ruqqaya? Now we have made a disservice to the Ahlul-Bait alayhim salam by not teaching our children about their children. When someone loves an individual, if I love someone, I will always mimic them. I will always be or try to be like them. Now if we try to be like Ahlul-Bait alayhim salam, we have to teach our children to be like Ahlul-Bait alayhim salam. That way when they grow up, it won't be something out of the moon, out of the blue. It won't be something that's not usual. They'll be like, oh yes, I know Lady Ruqqaya. Yes, I know Sakina. When they grow up a little bit, yes, I know Ar-Rabab, I know Lady Zainab. So such small things, to us they're small, but to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala they are major. To the Ahlul-Bayt they are major. This is why we should always keep Lady Ruqqaya and keep the Ahlul-Bayt alayhim salam. But as I mentioned, the value and the relationship between Lady Ruqqaya alayhi salam and her father is often underestimated and understudied, which we'll talk about today. But I would like to talk about some of the characteristics of Lady Ruqqaya. On the 10th day of Muharram, we always see that whenever Lady Ruqqaya is mentioned, it's always during the 10th of Muharram or the 10 days of Muharram. Is because that she played a very significant role. Some people might not know that, but she actually did. On the eve of Ashura, Imam Al-Hussein alayhi salam was walking through the tents. He would stand by near every tent to hear what they have to say, to see what his family are doing, how are they going to accept post Ashura, what are they going to do. After he finished all the tents, he walked by the tent of Rabab, and Ruqqaya was there, Al-Asghar was there. And what really breaks the heart is when Lady Ruqqaya alayhi salam, whenever her brother used to cry out of thirst, she would pick him up and put him to sleep thirsty. She would sit and cry with him, a 4-year-old. However, when Imam Al-Hussein was about to leave from the tent, or from near the tent of Lady Ruqqaya alayhi salam, automatically she leaves. She wouldn't have known that her father was there. But that connection between Lady Ruqqaya alayhi salam and her father, that connection was so strong that as soon as her father walked by the tent, she felt him. Inshallah, we'll continue discussing the story, but after this short break, so stay tuned.
I wake up to find you have left, oh Father. My tears drip down and they flow like a river. Please come back, I ask you by our Creator. I have never been away from you ever. I miss your scent and kiss, O son of Haidar. And my name is the sweet name of your mother. You've given me this name, and you I do not blame. Your mother, she loved you, and my love is the same. You've given me this name, and you I do not blame. Your mother, she loved you, and my love is the same. Your words I want to hear. You leave me with my tears, and leave my heart broken, and leave my heart broken. You take all the children, you take all the women. So why did you leave me and leave my heart broken? You leave me alone here, you leave me with my tears, and leave my heart broken, and leave my heart broken. I stand and
Brothers and sisters, once again, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the second part of tonight's episode as we commemorate the martyrdom anniversary of our beloved Lady Ruqqaya, peace and blessings be upon her, the 4-year-old beloved daughter of Imam Al-Hussein alayhi salam. For this reason, I would like to send my condolences once again to Imam Sahib al-Asri wa Zaman. May Allah hasten his reappearance, to our pious scholars, to the Muslim community, and to everyone across the world who has a connection with humanity, who cares for humanity. But before the break, we talked about Lady Ruqqaya alayhi salam and her role in the life of Imam Al-Hussein, her connection, her relationship, as well as how can we, Shia and lovers of Ahlul-Bait, take this very young individual, 4 years old, as a role model for ourselves. But we left off at a short story talking about how Ruqqaya alayhi salam is connected with us. Now, we mentioned how Imam Hussein alayhi salam on the eve of Ashura, on 10th of Muharram, the eve, he was walking around the tents. He arrived at the tent of Ruqqaya, and he seen how Ruqqaya and the situation of Ruqqaya, Rabab and Al-Asghar, and how Ruqqaya would pick up Al-Asghar whenever he used to cry with him, put him to sleep. As he was about to leave, Ruqqaya exits her tent and she sees her father. Right away she begins to cry. She says, "Oh father, who is greater, you or Ismail?" Imam Hussein alayhi salam was shocked by this question. He says, "By Allah, Ismail and the rest of the prophets are created from our nur. But why do you ask, O Ruqqaya?" She says, "O father, when Ismail was a child and him and his father and his mother were thirsty, he kicked the ground with his feet," an infant child Ismail. "He kicked the ground with his feet and water began to burst out. Why are we thirsty, O father?" This is the level of thirst that Ruqqaya, a 4-year-old child, had to endure, had to go through. Imam Al-Hussein alayhi salam had a piece of wood in his hand, a stick. He hit the ground with the stick. Water erupted from the ground. Ruqqaya saw this, she was amazed. She goes down to drink water. Imam Al-Hussein alayhi salam, he says to her, "O Ruqqaya, keep one thing in mind. If you drink from this water, our Shia will be thirsty on the day of judgment." Ruqqaya was shocked. She drops the water from her hand. She says, "Let us be thirsty and our Shia be quenched on that day when nothing will be beneficial except for the love of Ahlul-Bait alayhim salam." Ruqqaya at the age of 4, thinking of people other than herself. I mean, this is not a piece of candy that's given to a young girl, and when you convince her, she'll give you the candy. Sacrifice that precious thing. Candy is precious for the little child. This was a matter of life and death. This young child was so thirsty that the tongues of the Ahlul-Bait were like wood. That's how solid it was, how dry their tongues were. Yet Lady Ruqqaya dropped the water from her hand and said, "Let us be thirsty so our Shia can be quenched on a day of judgment." She implied forbearance in her life. And that's the main characteristic. A 4-year-old. What does she know about Ismail? What does she know about sacrificing herself? We don't know, if she didn't drink water, she might have died. But yet we know that she sacrificed the most precious thing, and that's water, so we Shia can be quenched. How can we repay such an individual? A 4-year-old right now, we see them, as I mentioned, playing with dolls. A little bit older, playing video games. Yet this 4-year-old thinking of other individuals and placing us Shia before herself. This is very significant to keep in our minds. So whenever we drink water, we remember Imam Al-Hussein. Whenever we drink water, we remember how Ruqqaya sacrificed the drink of her life for us Shia. Now let us imagine ourselves in this situation. Imam Al-Hussein, a man of bravery, a man of passion, a man of love, a man of dedication to save the message of his grandfather Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Imagine how difficult it is to lose such a man. If a really close friend of ours that we dearly love, we would sacrifice everything we have and give it away for his sake, if we dearly love that individual. Now imagine this is our father who sacrificed everything, the last drop of his blood for the sake of Islam, being beheaded, being butchered on the day of Ashura to save us, to save his children, to save the message of Islam. A man of courage like Imam Al-Hussein Islam stood against all the odds. But imagine that we are the daughter or son of Imam Al-Hussein alayhi salam. This is the situation. Wouldn't it be extremely difficult to be separated from such an individual? Lady Ruqqaya alayhi salam never saw her father after the day of Ashura. After Imam Al-Hussein, the horse of Imam Al-Hussein, left on that noon and never returned. For the ones that have been to Sham, you'll see the great and beautiful shrine of Lady Ruqqaya in Sham. You'll see that. And you'll see, as soon as you enter, I was blessed, alhamdulillah, a few years back, I was blessed to visit her holy shrine. And as soon as you walk in, you feel that grief. You feel that such a young, 4 years old, I have to keep on repeating this. A 4-year-old individual who sacrificed whatever she had for us Shia, for humanity to live a free life along with her father. But for this young girl, it wasn't just the separation from her father Hussein, but it was the separation between her and her uncle Al-Abbas alayhi salam on the 10th of Muharram, as he heard Ruqqaya, the one who was saying, Al-Atash qatalana, thirst has killed us. Al-Abbas could not hold it anymore. He went to Hussein and said, let me, if I can't fight, let me bring water for the children. So he left and never returned. When Al-Abbas never returned, whenever she asked, where's Al-Abbas? They replied, he went on a journey. She said, I don't want water anymore. I just want my uncle back. They told her he went on a journey and you'll see him soon. After this, she promised herself to never ask for water. This is very heartbreaking, because she says, if asking water means that my uncle will not return to me, then I don't want water. A 4-year-old, I mean, it really shatters the heart. Now, narrations also tell us that when the captives reached Kufa, Ruqayya heard the cries of an infant child in Kufa. When she heard it, all of a sudden she turns away. She turns back to where the voice came from, where the cry came from. And what did she say? She says, "Oh Ali, is that you, my baby brother?" A 4-year-old had to go through her dad being butchered, her uncle being slaughtered, her brothers, her uncles, seeing her aunt Zainab being whiplashed, and seeing her aunt Zainab being slapped around. I mean, what certain individuals have such, even individuals who have stone cold hearts will not do this to any ordinary individual who did not cause them any harm. Yet a 4-year-old had to go through. She says, "Is that you, my baby brother Ali? Where is my brother Ali?" She keeps on crying out. Lady Zainab comes to her and says, "Oh Ruqayya, your brother has went on a journey." She says, "Everybody's going on a journey. I want to go with them." Lady Zainab alayhi salam tells her, "You'll see them soon, my niece." Then, after when the children and the ladies of Ahlul-Bait alayhim salam were taken to the palace, to the ruins in the palace of Yazid, may Allah curse him and may Allah greaten the punishment on him. When they arrived there, Ramla, she saw Ramla, her mother Rabab. She saw her aunties Zainab and Kulthum, all of them so depressed, so humiliated, so angry that Abbas is not there, that Hussein is not there. Whenever they would bring out the prayer mat, it's time for prayer. Ruqayya also goes, grabs a prayer mat, puts it on the ground, gets it ready. She looks at her aunt Zainab, she says, "Oh aunt, where is my father?" Ruqayya, before the day of Ashura and before all of this happens, when Imam Al-Hussein alayhi salam, when it was time for prayer, Ruqayya would get up, she would bring the prayer mat, lay it on the ground and get everything ready for Al-Hussein to pray. Yet when she saw Zainab, Kulthum and all the others, when they brought out prayer mats, depression overtakes her again and she becomes to cry. That same night, Arbab al-Maqatil, the narrators of the martyrdoms that have been transcribed down to us, they say that that night Ruqayya went to sleep, and in her dream she saw her father Hussein alayhi salam. She saw that Imam Al-Hussein picked her up, placed her on his lap, and began to wipe on her head. Who does this? And what is this action done for? It's done for an orphan. All of a sudden, in her dream, all of a sudden, Imam Hussein is gone. Ruqayya wakes up screaming, "Father, please take me with you. Oh Father, why have you left me here?" This is what Ruqayya was saying. She wakes up crying and screaming until everybody woke up. Lady Zainab came to her, she says, "What's going on, my beloved Ruqayya?" She narrates what she saw in her dream. Everybody began to cry. The screams, they were so loud that they went to the chamber where Yazid, may Allah curse him, was sleeping in. He woke up afraid, thought something was going on. You know, when you do something very evil, you always think of the negative. Well, you should always, if you are killing the Ahlul-Bait alayhim salam. But he woke up, he asked what was going on. They told him that the 4-year-old daughter of Imam Al-Hussein alayhi salam woke up crying. She saw her father in her dream and she is asking for him. Now this is where we see the cruelty. What did Yazid do? I mean, after killing the Ahlul-Bait, after killing Imam Al-Hussein, after humiliating the household of Rasulullah, what does he do? He say, she wants to see her father, right? Take the head of her father to her so she can see him. Allahu Akbar. What kind of hearts did such individuals have? They took the head, put it on a platter, on a dish, covered it with a piece of cloth, and took it to Ruqqaya. When Ruqqaya saw the dish, she thought it was food. She looked at her aunt, she says, I don't want any food, I'm not hungry. I just want to see my father Hussein. Zainab began to cry and weep even more. She said, Oh Ruqqaya, this is not food. Pick up the cloth and you'll see your father. Ruqqaya up until now does not know that her father was beheaded. She asks, she says, what is the relation? How is this connected to my father? How is this dish connected to my father? Zainab alayhi salam says, pick up the cloth and you'll see your father. Ruqqaya lifted the cloth, and what did she see? She saw the severed head of Imam Al-Hussein alayhi salam. A 4-year-old had to go through all of this, had to see her father and the head of her father separated from his body and placed before her. She fell onto the head, hugged the head and began to cry. She says, Oh my father, who severed your head from your body? Oh my father, who soaked your beard with your blood? Oh father, Abatah, man aytamani ala saghar sinni. Oh my father, who orphaned me at such a young age? She began to talk to the head. She began to tell her father of what happened to her after he died. She says, Oh my father, they ripped the earrings out of my ear, and my ears began to bleed. Oh my father, they whipped us. Oh my father, they slapped us. A 4-year-old had to go through all of this. Slowly, and moments after, she became silent. She's falling on the head, she's still on the head, hugging the head of her father. Moments after, Lady Ruqqaya and the other ladies thought that Ruqqaya is still crying. Imam Zain al-Abidin gets up, walks to his sister. He says, Oh Amma, oh aunt, عظم الله لك الأجر. May Allah greaten your reward. Ruqqaya has just died on the head of my father. A 4-year-old who died hugging the head of her father. We usually see people dying at an old age. Even as a child, they die in the hands of their fathers. But yet, Ruqqaya died and she was hugging the head of her father, Imam Al-Hussein alayhi salam. When Lady Zainab got up to see, she saw her dead. She passed away. The screams got even louder. Everyone began to cry. When she tried to pick her up, the head of Imam Hussein was still wrapped in the arms of Ruqqaya alayhi salam. So they had to remove her hands and take the head out. Yet, after she passed away, a maid came. It's obligatory that when a female dies, the one who performs the ghusl, the one who washes the body of that individual, should be also a lady. So a maid came to perform ghusl on the body of Ruqqaya alayhi salam. This is very heartbreaking, and it shatters the heart to narrate this. When she came to perform the ghusl, Lady Zainab alayhi salam was watching from not a far distance. She was watching the maid. She saw the maid backing up from the body of Ruqayya, scared. She walked away. She came to Lady Zainab. She says, I believe that this child had a disease before she died. Zainab says, what disease? She was just fine. She says, I see bruises, black and blue marks on her body. Zainab began to weep even more. She says, this is not a disease. This is a result of the lashes, of the whips of Shimr ibn al-Jawshan, may Allah curse him. From the soldiers who a 4-year-old child had to walk from Karbala to Kufa, from Kufa to Sham and other cities. Whenever she used to stop, she would get tired. An ordinary individual will pick up that young child. But the enemies of Ahlul-Bait and the enemies of humanity, whenever that little child used to stop, they used to whip her and slap her around. I mean, to narrate this, it really just breaks the heart down. It melts the heart to narrate this. She says there is no disease. These are the results of the whiplashes. A 4-year-old expects comfort, expects love, compassion, comfort from the environment surrounding them. Yet the ladies of Ahlul-Bait and the children of Ahlul-Bait, what happened to them? They were whipped, they were lashed, they were slapped around. Let us, right now, we are approximately 15 to 16 days prior to Arba'een. Let us take this opportunity and walk the walk of Ruqayya. Walk the walk of Lady Zainab alayhi salam, approximately 1400 years ago, to the holy shrine of her brother when she came along with the heads and along with the family, but they left one individual, and that's Ruqayya, that never got to see the grave of her father, that died in Damascus. Let us, on behalf of Ruqayya, walk to the holy shrine of Imam Al-Hussein on this Arba'een and join the millions and millions of people who have come here, who have left their homes, left their families, men leaving back their women and children, women pushing strollers, men pushing wheelchairs. For what? To visit Imam Al-Hussein alayhi salam. Lastly, let us raise our hands to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to remove all the afflictions from every single Muslim across the world, from the Muslim Ummah, and hasten the reappearance of our beloved and awaited Savior, and make us one of His loyal servants and companions. Lastly, I would like to thank you once again for tuning in. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.